Welcome in Friday version. That means the game is 2 days away. Friday version of the Daily Fix. There you go. I am Ron Hughley. There in that little box where he rightfully belongs is Steven Serta. Daily Fix every day right here on Foolish Club Media at 12 noon Central. Tell a friend Monday through Friday. We are the fastest, slowest growing digital product out there right now today. And the first thing I want to say is those of you listening on YouTube, we appreciate you. Those of you listening on Twitter, we appreciate listening, watching, however you're doing it. We appreciate you. The first thing I need you to do, though, is head over to our YouTube page at Foolish Club Media. Please like and subscribe, and tell your friends to do the same as well. Remember, if you do not do so, you're just not allowing my kids to eat. Not going to hold you long. 15 minutes of fame might be up if something doesn't happen this weekend. Also, the big story from last night, but there are multiple stories from that game last night. We'll discuss that. And I normally want to start here, but I do want to start with Travis Kelce. But before that, I think there's some news we need to pass across and just quickly hit. This is a bonus hit right here, baby. A bonus hit. I don't even need to 2 minutes. Just a bonus hit right here. I saw this earlier, sort of from Jordan Schultz. Damn, man, you gonna hit me up on this thing? I don't need no 2 minutes, but you ain't got to rush me off the damn stage. No, I saw this earlier from Jordan Schultz, who covers the NFL. Sources say that the Chiefs are placing wide receiver Marquise, who we know as Hollywood, a.k.a. Wood Brown, on IR. He will undergo surgery to repair a dislocated SC joint. The surgery is scheduled for Monday. And Serta, what I am hearing, this is months, not weeks. This is a recovery of 2.5 to 3 months that he may be out. So it's looking at maybe potentially December if all goes well. If he's out, we had it on a conversation earlier this week where I said I don't need to see him until he's 100% healthy. And this sucks because he's just on a 1-year deal. But December, that would be a huge kick if he can get healthy. And the one thing that I think is a fair question is, damn it, if they could have just gone ahead and just said, hey, man, let's knock this out right now in Jacksonville, it would have quickened his return. But get the kid right.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is the right move, and it's a bummer, but it especially sucks that this was one play in a preseason game where it probably just shouldn't have been out there, but that's what Andy Reid does. And it sucks, but hopefully he's back for the playoff run, and hopefully they can add him back in the offense. I think the Chiefs offense is going to be fine, but yeah, this is definitely a bummer. And sometimes these things just don't heal the right way and things don't go the way that they plan.
Yeah, I don't think they need to go busting out and going to go find somebody. I think they have it in house. I think they have it in house. Now we're going to see a lot more Juju. Good Lord, him and Watson. So we'll see, but they should be able to hold it together up until that point. All right, as it is a game Friday, I think there's a lot happening. I want to first thank the Cincinnati Bengals and Taylor. I don't even know what that kid Taylor Britt and Jamar Chase for giving us some solid bulletin board material, and I feel like the Chiefs will be awake for this. So I want to personally thank them for making them care about this a little bit more. But Steve, for me, watching the first game, seeing things, in this game, I do want to see Travis Kelce get a little bit more involved. Listen, they won the game. I'm certain he impacted the game with the way he was being covered. I saw multiple times that the Ravens were bracketing him with Kyle Hamilton. Notice you see, so the Kyle Hamilton didn't really impact that game like we normally see Kyle Hamilton impact the game. I do think a lot of that had to do with Travis Kelce. But he is still, to me, at this point. Now, I will concede Rashee Rice is on the hunt, but he is still, at this point, the number one receiving option for this team. And 3 catches on four targets. He needs to have more volume than that. And I just honestly think, Steve, that Travis Kelce is the mouthpiece, the voice, and the emotion of this team. And when he's involved, his swagger, it's a complete. It takes the Chiefs to a completely different level. So to me, I want to see. I want to see and hope that Travis Kelce becomes a little bit more active in this game. We see and hear from him more, and he's more involved in this game and is a bigger part of the game plan in this game, and more than 4 targets, right? I'm not saying force it to him, but I think it's important to get him involved.
Yeah, this should be a good matchup for him.
Yes.
Bengals, we talked about it on the latest episode of Show and BK. That's available for you now. So head on over to the Foolish Club podcast feed and check that out, or on the YouTube page. It's also available. But I don't think the Bengals defense is good. This should be a great matchup for Travis Kelce, and he should be. And I know Lou Anarumo is a good defensive coordinator, but I just don't think that the Bengals have the personnel to match up with the Chiefs the way that they used to. And so this should be a big game for Travis Kelce, and I expect him to have a nice performance on Sunday.
Yeah. And listen, we've seen for years, Travis Kelce has been the priority of the coverage, and it doesn't seem to stop him. I hope to see that coming up this week. All right. Yesterday was a tough one last night, as the big story and the real story is Tua, who takes another hit. If you watched it last night, he did the fencing thing where his hands start to kind of form, and it's a really, really scary situation, very similar to when it happened on Thursday Night Football. And it seems this keeps happening like on national television, where it's the only thing that we're watching. This is the second time it's happened to him on Thursday Night Football. And listen, we don't know how long he's going to be out. Obviously, it's going to be some time. With his history, I believe they'll take into account of that. It was a scary situation. A lot of people are talking about him maybe retiring. I expect that we will see Tua play again. I don't think this is the last time we've seen Tua play. But Serta, even to another level, after you take that part away, prayers out to Tua and hope that he's good. Sort of the Miami Dolphins are screwed. Like they're screwed here, Steve, because they have really great players, right? They have players in which you look at them and you say, that could be a Super Bowl contending team. That could be a team that could, like those parts, Jalen Ramsey, Tyreek Hill, Nick Chubb when he's healthy. Linebackers aren't bad. Obviously, Jalen Waddle, their running game, A-Chain is a weapon. Like Armstead, the tackle they've got like parts, but there is something, man. They just don't fit. It's like the Clippers, Steve. Like you just know that they need to blow that up because for some reason, even though Paul George is an Hall of Famer and Kawhi is a Hall of Famer and Russ is a Hall of Famer, and they've got a great coach, something is missing. Something is off, and those parts aren't coming together. Steve, they are 1-11 against teams with winning records the last couple of years. 1-11. And the thing is, they need to tear it down, but they've given Tyreek new money. They've invested in Waddle, obviously this big money to Tua. They've got a lot of money invested in some of these dudes, and I just think this group clearly doesn't have it together.
They just gave Jalen Ramsey a fast extension too. They've got so much dead money going into next season, and it's like this was what they thought was like their Super Bowl window. But I don't think anybody who is really locked in the NFL came into the season like, yeah, the Dolphins are a fun team. They're an explosive offense. They've got some playmakers, but nobody's afraid of them. And last night was just further example that we've seen over and over again. When they play good teams, when they play talented teams, they don't have the answers because they're kind of a soft football team, and they're built on these explosive plays from Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. But when those windows don't have 10 yards of separation, then they can't get the ball to their wide receivers. So when you go up against good secondaries and good defensive lines, because the Dolphins' offensive line sucks, they just don't stand a chance. And that team is not anywhere closer to being a Super Bowl contender than they were last season.
And it's nuts because they ran the ball decently last night and they have all kinds of speed on the outside. But to the point you're making, there's some softness to them because Tua clearly got teed off on. It faced pressure throughout. He threw 3 interceptions, but many of them were because pressure was in his face. The pick six was pressure was in his face. So I don't know that they're trapped because they desperately need to rip that thing apart, but I don't think they can. As you said, they've got big money tied into a lot of guys. All right, the last thing I want to get to is, damn it, Deion. God. Man, it was so fun to watch Deion. It was so fun and Steve so needed because college football was starting, and now I think it may go back to it, was starting to get to a point where it was Georgia, Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and maybe Jim Harbaugh will jump in there. It was just rotating those things. Those were all the stories. And it was just, you could predict what was going to happen. And then last year, this freshness of something we ain't seen came parachuting in from Boulder, Colorado, and they were bigger than all of them. All of them. Everybody was there. I mean, everybody, they would have people come to those games and they were on TV and you couldn't get enough of it. It was fun to watch and they were brash and Deion was just being Deion and his son was being. That 15 minutes of fame is going to be up if they lose Sunday or Saturday tomorrow. They're a 7-point favorite against Colorado State, who they damn near lost to at home last year. Steve, like right now, you could still hang on the Colorado thing. They were in primetime last week and just got slaughtered by a Nebraska team that's trying to find its way. And that kid who's a lookalike to Patrick Mahomes. They lost 28-10 and was never in that game. Shedeur is blaming his offensive line for problems and all of this. If they lose to Colorado State, the Deion and Colorado thing to me is over, sort of. And nobody's talking about them, and they shouldn't, because you got to win. That was a big part. They beat TCU. They beat Nebraska. They won some of these games. They sucked and finished it last year. Okay, we got it. We're going to try to come back with it again. But you lose to Colorado State, and you're 1-2. Nobody's going to give a rip anymore about Colorado. And we need this. We need this addition of Deion to add something else to it so it's not just Kirby Smart and Alabama. And, it's just boring. We need it, Deion. Please.
It was fun for like 3 weeks last year.
No, 7.
And then since then, it has just been a disaster. And it's of their own doing. Like, it doesn't seem like there's any accountability. It doesn't seem like anybody outside of Deion's children are really having fun at this point. And it just is a disaster. Like, it's totally fallen apart in less than a year.
Well, listen, they can have all of that because that's entertaining. They just got to win this one. They got to win this one, and then they can survive a couple of more weeks. If they lose to Colorado State, we're going to see a lot of these game times change for Deion. We're going to see some 11 o'clockers, or we're going to see some late 10:30 starts for these games coming up because nobody's going to be talking about Deion anymore. Hi, Mom and Courtney.